Hi, welcome to the Old Geezer Show on Sunday, the 1st of January 2023. I'm Chris, and today we have a story that I can only describe as horrible and awful for you. It comes to us today from the Mail on Sunday, and what they've got is an article that says that many older people lose a lot of function, a lot of ability, a lot of fitness when they go into hospital. And if you go into hospital as an old person, you are likely to have your actual condition treated, but it is quite possible that your hospital stay will do you as much harm as it does you good, if you like. Let's give you a few more details. A lot of the story is based on reader feedback from the Mail, and a lot of it is based on comments from Age UK and other organisations. Let me quote you one comment from a lady who wrote back to the newspaper. Her 75-year-old husband, who had Parkinson's disease, was unable to stand, was unable to go to the toilet, communicate, or even feed himself after a 5-week stretch on a ward. Before he was admitted, he was attending to all his own physical needs, walking more than a mile a day, and was capable of driving his car. So the question we really have to ask is what's going on. Back in November, the Mail on Sunday reported that some older people were being discharged from hospital suffering from long-lasting incontinence because NHS staff had been too busy to take them to the toilet while they were on the ward. So what they did was fitted those people with a catheter, a urinary catheter, which means that when the catheter is removed, going for a wee becomes more urgent and more desperate. Now, I can confirm this because I had my prostate removed years ago, and although I've got a good deal of urinary control, I still wear a pad just for safety, because you never know if something's going to go wrong. So there you have it. That's an interesting one. Let's take it a bit further with a few more comments. The paper quoted a consultant geriatrician, which was Professor Rowan Harwood at Nottingham University Hospitals. Everyone in the NHS needs to be more concerned about preventing people from losing the ability to walk. It's just not given sufficient priority within NHS hospitals. Patients can be left for weeks in hospital beds without being encouraged to get up and walk about. Now, I haven't had that experience personally, although I have had some stays in hospital of 4 days, 3 days during this last summer, and I can confirm that you're not really encouraged to walk about. I walked the loo, and on the day that I felt much better and was about to be discharged, I took a stroll outside in my dressing gown. But in fact, it's not something that is specifically encouraged, and I think it's something maybe that should be encouraged. We should be encouraged to keep going and help to keep going as long as we can. The charity Age UK is calling for patients' physical abilities to be measured while they're in hospital and assessed at both admission and discharge. Hospitals should be able to show steps are taken to help maintain a patient's capabilities, and they should be held accountable if this isn't done, said a spokesman for Age UK. At present, hospitals mainly focus on proving the patient left hospital without suffering any hospital-acquired infections or any broken bones from a fall. Age UK continued, the ultimate long-term goal wanting to get patients home in the best shape possible with scope to recover, having lost the least amount of function as possible during their stay. This is not really how the hospital's accountability structures are meaningfully structured. Now, that sounds a little bit complicated, but what it means is that we should see how patients are when they come in and make sure they're not going out any worse. That's the reality. I do think seriously that this happens very easily. Again, I'll hark back to my own experience in the summer. I know that I was not in the same physical condition when I came out of hospital as I was when I went in. When I went in, I was walking maybe half an hour every day, and now After coming out, I didn't walk very much for ages, but I'm now creeping back into some kind of physical fitness, if you like. And that, I think, I blame on the hospital structure, which encourages you not to do anything. Strikingly, Professor Harwood also said, hospitals have become incredibly risk-averse. If patients fall over in hospital, people get into trouble. Nurses in particular, he says, have been made to feel very uneasy about encouraging a frail patient to walk around. There's been a lot of work to eliminate falls and hospital-acquired fractures. Nurses have become very reluctant to get people up when they're unsteady. He said he couldn't emphasise how big a priority preventing falls is for the NHS. He added, how often people fall is a huge quality performance measure, and if somebody falls and comes to harm and dies, the coroners will be absolutely onto it, he said. Some of the examples quoted in this article are scary, really. I think they're just frightening. One lady who came back on the Mail's earlier article said that she will always regret encouraging her husband to consult his GP about a repetitive urinary tract infection. He had Parkinson's disease, so his doctor recommended a stay in hospital for observation. 5 weeks later, when he came out, he wasn't walking. He wasn't feeding himself. He was incontinent, and his speech was terrible, said his wife. The urinary tract infection got better after a week in hospital, but the hospital doctors decided he needed to go into a rehabilitation centre before he could go home. During a 4-week wait for a space, his wife said that nurses rarely moved her husband out of bed. They said if they got him up, his legs would go. He'd lost so much muscle strength lying there all that time that he simply couldn't stand. When he was admitted, he walked in absolutely fine and was hopping on and off the bed to give the urine samples. He deteriorated very quickly in hospital. She finished her comments by saying, I feel guilty. I regret that I forced him to go. I'll never know whether I contributed to the way he is now. Now, this story in the Mail on Sunday is really worth reading, so if you've got a few minutes, take a look at the link that I've posted here, and I'll also include the link on the comments so that you can take a look for yourself. Read the story, read the comments, see what you think. If you have a similar story, get in touch, please. I'd love to hear from you, and I guarantee your confidentiality. We do not mention names without permission on this show, but I do want to get some real life stories that explain how things happen, because I know that nurses and doctors who work in hospital do have the patient's well-being at heart, but the issue is sometimes the way that they have to do things actually does damage as well. So we're going to look at this, we want to look at this seriously, and we want to see if there's a good way forward. We're going to get in touch with Age UK as well and see if they'll have a talk to us about this, because I really, really think it's important. Okay, I'm Chris. This is the Old Geezer Show. Today we've been talking about this horrible story about hospitals attempting to cure people's problems, but also at the same time causing more problems. I'll see you soon.